You're listening to Sip and Grow the podcast, the show where we taste awesome, delicious wines while having unfiltered conversations about our passions, experiences, struggles, entrepreneurship, and life. My name is Nicole Pasquale, and I'm a wine enthusiast just trying to pursue her passions and dreams while taking you on the journey with me, one episode at a time. My ultimate goal is to not only bring you wine knowledge and value, but also inspire you to enjoy your process and journey in pursuing your passions and dreams. Because guess what? The person you become while enduring the process is more important. So sit back, grab a glass, and let's sip and grow together. Welcome back to Sip and Grow with me, your host, Nicole Pasquale. Thank you for tuning in. I am so grateful for the love and support that I've gotten up until now. And I just hope to continue providing valuable content for you guys that you guys enjoy. And as always, please send me any messages or questions that you have. I definitely want to hear from you, so send them to me anywhere. I'm on all the socials like Instagram, TikTok. You can even email me, which I don't know if someone will email me, but if you do, I'll answer because I have it. It's there. But I'm very excited for today because I am going to try a Malbec from Sonoma County. This one is actually from Dry Creek Valley. So the vineyard is called Bradford Mountain Vineyard. And it was pretty cool. So I know someone who helped them bottle this wine. So he gave this to me to basically review on here. So that was very, very nice of my coworker to do that for me. But I was reading up on this wine and it's pretty cool. So they decided in 2008 to plant the Malbec vines in the valley that Dry Creek Valley. And they planted it right next to their Cabernet Franc and Merlot vines. And basically the intention of planting the Malbec vines was to use them for like their Bordeaux varietals, to blend them into those varietals. I don't think they had, based off of what I read, I don't think they had the intention of creating a Malbec wine, even though I don't know why, because Malbec is amazing and one of my favorite grapes. But anyways, it was funny because in 2018, and this is going to be story time with Nicole, the way Nicole tells her stories. But in 2018, basically the Malbec vines produced a shit ton of grapes, and they were like, yo, we got a lot of grapes this year, like abundance in grapes, let's go. Maybe we should just produce some Malbec varietals out of this. And then, they looked at each other and were like, yo, that sounds like a good idea. So 2018, this was their first Malbec created. And basically, so 2018, this is when this was harvested, right? This was actually bottled in 2020. Because sometimes, that's what happens. Usually, the vintage of the wine is the year that's on here, which is essentially when the grapes were picked. So the grapes were picked 2018. This one was bottled 2020, and it actually was released this year of March 2022. Sorry, not this year. Last year, March 2022. And I'm excited to try it because, as you all know, Malbec is one of my favorite grapes. And also, I thought that the story behind it was kind of cool. I also read that it was aged 25 months in French oak barrels. 67% of them were in new French oak barrels, and 33% were in old, 3-year-old French barrels. So what that means is Usually French oak barrels last between like 3 to 4 years, depending on how much they've been used. But because after that, it's just it's been used too much, and they kind of just like recycle them, which I would love to do an episode just on barrels because it's very interesting. It's a whole entire process, and they're super regulated in France. So if they're French oak, it's like it's serious business. And there's different types of oak barrels. So I didn't really get the info on what type of oak, like French oak barrels that they use, because depending on the barrel, it could be like lightly toasted or like medium toasted. And it's just like the process of how they toast the barrels. But basically, this specific wine was aged for 25 months, and then 67% of those French oak barrels were new, and 33% were 3-year-old French barrels. So it's it's going to be an interesting taste, to say the least, because I'm really excited. I really hope to get some like a bunch of tannins in there because that's my favorite, and like some heavy toasted flavors. But let's go ahead and try this. Also, I kind of wanted to tell you guys a funny story that I recently, well, I've heard about it, but it was funny because like I learned some more about it talking to my winemaker. But basically, there's this thing, if you guys remember correctly, what's behind me, like the vines, there's different types of clones within each like vineyard, right? So like each vineyard is gonna have different blocks of, they're gonna have different blocks of like clones. And there's this term called suitcase clones. So suitcase clones is basically like back in the 80s, the there would be people that would go to like Bordeaux, like people, by people I mean Americans, that would go to Bordeaux, which I'm sure this happens all over the world, but this is just specific to what I recently learned, that they would go to like Bordeaux or France, other regions in France, and they would basically like grab a clone, because essentially a clone, you can like grab a stem from the clone and grow it on another clone, or like trunk of a vine, I guess would be the best way to describe that. Because then I have to make another episode on that, because that's a whole nother can of worms that I can't open right now because it's a lot of information. But basically, so these people that would go to like these regions, they would basically get a stem, cut it off, and put it in their suitcase and bring it back to wherever they're from. So in this case, an American went to France, cut a piece of, basically went into a vineyard at night. And this was like very popular in the 80s. That's why I mentioned the 80s. But they would basically like cut off a piece of the clone, wrap it up, bring it back in their suitcase, and then they would start their own vineyard like that. So when they got back here, I don't know what they're called, but there's basically like scientists who analyze vines or agricultural stuff. And basically, when you bring back something from another country, there could be diseases in there, right? So you have to take it to someone, to a scientist or someone who can analyze it and make sure that any diseases in there are like, they can get rid of them, and before you start growing it and like using it for producing whatever you're trying to produce, whether it be like food or wine in this case, right? So a lot of people, what they would do is they would bring it back, and this is why it's called suitcase clones, because they would bring it back in their suitcase, and then they would take it to someone to analyze. Obviously, they wouldn't be like, oh, yo, I kind of like brought this back from France. They would just be like, oh, I have this vine. I think there's like a disease in there. Can you check it out for me? So they would check it out. And then the way to kind of rid these clones from diseases is you basically like let it You attach it to the stem of a vine that you already have wherever you're located, and then you let it grow. So when each time it grows, the way you trim it, the disease is actually at the top of the stem. So you trim it from the top, and then you keep on analyzing it until the disease or whatever it was carrying that's not good is completely out. So like they would keep on trimming it from the top, and then once the disease is completely out, you can start growing it. And then the way to duplicate it is the same process that you did, basically by bringing the clone over here, right? So once it's fully grown, you cut off another piece of that clone, then you put it on another stem, and then that one grows, and then you just do the same process over and over again until you have clones. So I thought that was pretty funny. But anyways, let's go ahead and taste this Malbec. I'm really excited about this one. This one's actually, so I looked up the price. It's $40, so it's a little pricey. But it's not like the most expensive one, but it's not the cheapest one. So I have high hopes for this. Also, I really hope it's really good, because if not, I will be disappointed. So it has a deep ruby color. Let's see how it smells. Oh. Okay, wait. So I recently learned, like, saying mineral isn't like a necessarily a bad thing, but it's like a very, like a common term, right? So like usually when you smell a lot of like minerals in a wine, it usually means like let's say if you wet like a stone floor, the minerals that are on that stone floor are what brings up that type of smell towards you. So like a way to elevate your tasting notes is to not just say like, oh, I smell minerals in this wine. It could be like, oh, I smell a wet stone, or I smell I don't know, like grass being freshly cut, or I'm still learning certain things, but like this is what I mean by I need to expand my olfactory analysis, because I just want to get better each time that I taste wines and be able to like give more descriptions. And I just feel intimidated, especially when I'm surrounded by a lot of wine experts that like really pinpoint certain things. And in my head, I'm like, oh snap, I do smell this. So let's see what I get from this one. So I definitely smell plum in here. And almost like it smells like very velvety, which I can confirm when we taste it. But I also smell like chocolate in here, like a dark chocolate. And I do smell like the minerality to it. I just don't know how to pinpoint what it is. And that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Oh, you know what I smell too? Hints of vanilla. And it's kind of like lightly toasted. Like a lightly toasted oak. Yeah. Let's go ahead and taste it. My God. That's a good ass Malbec. That is a fucking good ass Malbec. I'm sorry. I'm taken aback. I am shooketh. So I get hints of cherry. Definitely the toasted oak definitely came out in there. But then there's like also hints of pepper. And hold on. There's something else in there and I can't figure it out, and it's bothering me. Yeah, I don't, I mean, it is a little bit like, it's it's very, like, it's a little velvety, but it's so complex, and like everything comes together so beautifully and harmoniously, and it just like runs smoothly. So like there is tannins in here, but it's not intense that you're just like dying. Even though I kind of like that, but like definitely not in this wine. But everything just comes together so beautifully, and it goes down smoothly, and I rate this 10 out of 10. I'm so upset because I can't, like, this is a bottle that I would want to share with my family, and right now I can't because they're not here. But I know they would appreciate this wine so much. And I feel like if you want a good Malbec, like, this is definitely it. It's $40 from Bradford Mountain Vineyard. It's called Peterson. I highly recommend this wine. Like, I am so upset that I don't have, like, this would go, you know what this would go beautifully with? A filet mignon, or like a bife de chorizo, which is, bife de chorizo is like, I don't know, is it a sirloin? I think it's a sirloin. And then filet mignon, we all know what that is, a lomito. But I would definitely have this. Oh my god, this would go so good with a freaking barbecue. Oh my god. And there's no Argentinian places around here, so there's no, the type of barbecue that I would want is an Argentinian barbecue with this. And there's no Argentinian place around here, so it's a little depressing, but it's okay. When I get back home, that just means I'm gonna have a week straight of just Argentinian food, and it's gonna be great. But definitely, this Malbec is very, very good. It took me aback, like, shooketh in my chair out here in the vineyard. But if you're looking for a good Malbec, and this is, I would say it's medium bodied, and it has a long finish because of the complexity behind it. But I think it's beautiful. Like, I just, 10 out of 10. I don't know. I'm sure you guys understand that I like this wine a lot. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed my little story on Suitcase clones and the story behind this specific wine, which was pretty cool. And if you guys have, like I said, if you have any suggestions or questions or feedback, I want to hear back from you. If you haven't already, download this little aromas wheel that I have for you guys in my link in the bio, and just check out all the other things I have in there for you that are loaded with information having to do with all things wine. And thank you once again for tuning in and listening to me talk about wines and taste wines for 20 minutes. I really appreciate you guys, and I can't wait to do the next one for you. I will definitely be finishing this bottle tonight. If not tonight, tomorrow. Yeah, probably tomorrow because I work tomorrow. But, anyways, cheers.